How religion turned living humans into obedient bodies. Before we talk about religion, before we talk about gods, kings, or wars, let me ask you something quietly. Right now, as you are watching this, your heart is beating, your lungs are breathing, your body is alive. But here is a question history rarely asks. Are you truly alive, or are you only functioning? Because history shows us something disturbing. Some of the most dangerous armies were not made of dead bodies. They were made of living humans who stopped thinking. This episode is about them. Imagine a man. He wakes up every morning, goes to work, prays the way he was taught, teaches his children what he was taught, follows rules he never chose. He believes he is living a good life, but he has never once asked, why do I believe this? Who decided this is right? What happens if I question it? That man is alive in body, but asleep in awareness. Multiply him by millions. That is the army of the dead. Welcome to Decoded Buddha. This is not a channel built on belief. This is a channel built on decoding. Here, we don't tell you what to follow. We don't ask you to replace one belief with another. We ask you to slow down, observe, and think. This series is called Buddha the Scientist, because today we are not discussing religion as faith. We are looking at religion as a system that shaped minds, controlled generations, and in some cases, quietly turned living humans into obedient bodies. What is the army of the dead? No, not zombies, not monsters, not fiction. The army of the dead is made of ordinary people. People who love their families. People who believe they are moral. People who believe they are doing the right thing. They live full lives. But they do not question. They do not ask why. They do not ask who benefits. They do not ask, is this humane? They ask only one thing. What am I supposed to do? And when a human stops asking anything else, they become very easy to control. The moment power learned a new trick. There was a time when rulers ruled with fear alone. Swords in public, punishments in the square, bodies as warnings. But fear has a weakness. Fear works only while the sword is visible. Fear ends when the king dies. Then power discovered something far more effective. If you control belief, you don't need to control people. They will control themselves. Religion became the perfect tool, not because it was evil, but because it felt absolute. When violence is ordered by a king, people hesitate. But when violence is ordered by God, hesitation disappears. Slowly something changed. Killing stopped feeling like crime. It started feeling like duty. War stopped feeling like tragedy. It started feeling holy. Millions died, not in anger, but in obedience. Not because they were cruel, but because they believed they were doing the right thing. How the human conscience was quieted. Psychology explains this clearly. When an action is framed as moral, the brain's guilt signals become weaker. Authority silences logic. Group identity replaces empathy. Fear of punishment overrides compassion. People stop asking, is this wrong? They start asking, is this allowed? And once that shift happens, a human being stops acting from conscience and starts acting from instruction. This is not ancient history. This is how the human brain works, even today. Why belief was stronger than any weapon. A king with an army can rule land. A king with belief can rule generations. Religion gave power 3 silent advantages. First, invisible authority. You cannot question God, so you cannot question those who speak in God's name. Second, fear beyond death. Physical pain ends with life. Religious fear promises punishment without end. Third, internal obedience. No chains are needed. Guilt, shame, and fear become the chains. The prison moved from the outside world into the human mind. That is how living humans became obedient bodies. The first minds that had to be controlled. Every system of control fears one thing, not weapons, not armies. but people who think, people who question, people who learn. And history shows a clear pattern. Among all thinkers, women were targeted first. Why? Because women shape families. Families shape culture. Culture shapes the future. Control women, and you control generations before they are even born. When awareness became dangerous, across centuries and continents, the same story repeated. A silent woman was called pure. A curious woman was called dangerous. A woman who obeyed was praised. A woman who learned was feared. When women began to read, to heal, to teach, to question, they were given new names: witches, Dians, Chudales, impure beings. Punishment followed, sometimes fire, sometimes exile, sometimes shame. But the message was always the same: greater than think, and you will suffer. Fear spreads faster than truth. Fear creates obedience, and obedience builds an army. Pause here, because the most frightening thing about the army of the dead is not that it exists. It is this: it does not know it is dead. And before we move forward, sit with one question. How many people were killed in the name of religion? And how many more were kept alive, but never allowed to awaken? The dead do not know they are dead. They believe they are living correctly. They believe they are moral. They believe they are righteous. And that belief protects the system better than any weapon ever could. How control learned to speak softly. Once power understood belief, it faced a simple problem. Kings could not reach everyone. God could not speak to everyone. So a new group appeared, not warriors, not thinkers, but messengers. Priests, pandits, clerics, mulanas, different names, same role. They became the bridge between fear and faith. They told people what God wanted, what God hated, what God would punish. Truth was no longer something you discovered. It was something you were told. And when truth is handed to you ready-made, thinking becomes unnecessary. Psychology shows us something important here. When humans believe someone has access to higher truth, the brain relaxes. Skepticism lowers. Doubt feels dangerous. Obedience feels safe. This is how the army of the dead learned to listen, not to understand, but to obey. When fear became a system. In the beginning, fear was simple: do this or suffer. But over time, fear evolved. It became organized, structured, refined. Fear of hell, fear of punishment, fear of curse, fear of impurity. But the strongest fear was never hell. It was this: greater than fear of questioning. Because questioning breaks systems. So doubt was given a new meaning. Curiosity became rebellion. Thinking became arrogance. Asking questions became sin. Neuroscience explains why this worked so well. Fear activates the amygdala, the brain's survival center. When the amygdala is active, the part of the brain responsible for logic and reasoning becomes quieter. In simple words, fear shuts down thinking. This was not spirituality. This was psychological control. Rituals, teaching the body to obey. Then came repetition, daily prayers, weekly rituals, yearly festivals, not meaningless actions, but habits. The human brain loves patterns. Patterns create identity. Identity creates loyalty. Over time, belief stopped being conscious. People didn't believe because they understood. They believed because their body remembered. Fear entered the nervous system. Guilt became automatic. Shame became inherited. Belief moved from the mind into the muscles. And once belief lives in the body, logic alone cannot remove it. Children, where the army was reproduced. No control system survives without continuity. So religion focused on the most vulnerable minds. Children, where the army was reproduced. No control system survives without continuity. So religion focused on the most vulnerable minds. Children, before logic develops, before questioning begins. Stories were taught as facts. Fear was taught as morality. Obedience was taught as virtue. Children were not taught how to think. They were taught what to think. Neuroscience confirms this. Beliefs formed in childhood become neurological defaults. That is why adult logic often fails, because the battle is not intellectual, it is biological. This is how the army of the dead was multiplied, generation after generation. Why women were controlled first. At this point, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. What happened to women across history was not an accident. It was strategy. Women shape children, women shape values, women shape daily life. Control women, and you control the future before it even begins. So religion, when hijacked by power, decided, women will not read, women will not choose, women will not speak freely, women will not decide their own bodies or lives. Their bodies became battlegrounds. Their clothes became rules. Their voices became threats. And when some women still refused to obey, they were renamed witches, Dians, Chudales, impure beings. Punishment followed. Sometimes fire, sometimes exile, sometimes lifelong shame. The message was always clear. Awareness has a price. Fear spread. Silence followed. And silence created obedience. The truth people miss here is where many people misunderstand. Religion itself was never the problem. Inner search was never the problem. Spiritual curiosity was never the problem. The real danger was unquestioned authority. Religion becomes dangerous not when people believe, but when they stop questioning. Any idea, religious, political, or cultural, that demands obedience without awareness will always create an army of the dead. And yet, something survived. Despite centuries of fear and control, something never fully died. Awareness. Quietly, in small moments, some humans asked, what if truth is not outside? What if fear is the real prison? What if awareness is freedom? These people were not violent, not rebellious. They were simply awake. And awareness spreads. Because the moment a human realizes they were never meant to obey blindly, the system begins to crack. Why this story still matters. This is not ancient history. Systems that control through fear never disappear. They only change language. Fire becomes guilt. Chains become shame. Execution becomes social rejection. The methods evolve. The psychology remains the same. That is why this story matters, now more than ever. The questions only you can answer. Before you leave, sit with these questions honestly. How many beliefs do you follow without remembering why? How many rules shape your life that you never chose? How much of your morality comes from awareness, and how much comes from fear? And the most uncomfortable question of all, if a belief cannot survive questioning, was it ever meant to be truth? The final truth. You don't need to kill people to destroy humanity. You only need to stop them from thinking. The moment awareness dies, an army of the dead is born. And history teaches us this clearly. The greatest rebellion is not violence, it is awareness. What happens next is your choice. If this video made you uncomfortable, that's a good sign. Discomfort means something inside you is still alive. Tell us in the comments. What should we decode next? Religion and women, fear, guilt, and the human brain. Why questioning threatens power? Or how awareness breaks control systems? Your voice decides the next episode. And remember, the most powerful weapon in history was never religion. It was obedience without awareness. Subscribe to Decoded Buddha if you want more stories that decode religion, power, fear, and the human mind. Not through belief, but through awareness. Follow us on Instagram, Decoded Buddha, for short, sharp insights you can reflect on every day. Visit our website for deeper articles and research-based breakdowns that go beyond what a single video can explain. And one important request: if this video helped you see something clearly, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with a friend, a family member, or anyone who is still afraid of questioning. Because ideas don't change the world when they stay inside one mind. They change the world when they are shared. All links are in the description. And remember, The most powerful weapon in history was never religion. It was obedience without awareness. See you in the next episode of Buddha the Scientist.